In South Africa, most businesses manage water according to ticking the boxes for compliance reasons. And as a result, the whole opportunity in terms of sustainable water management in understanding the risks is not fully understood. And as a result, you will sit 200 years later with problem areas like who's going to pay for the acid mine drainage in the Gauteng area. And I think all of this can be prevented by, instead of following a legal compliance and tick box approach, by really understanding your water demand and supply and the water disclosure aspects, where you don't only disclose the water, the raw water you bring into your project, but you also look at the grey water that you discharge from your project, where that's going and what the impacts of that water is on the environment. And if you understand that risk, then you will understand your closure liability and you can plan for it in sufficient time. If we paint a scenario in South Africa, one of the most beautiful parts of the country is the Waterberg areas, and some of the best remaining coal reserves are present in that area. Numerous coal mining companies are exploring opportunities to develop coal resources in that area. However, it's a water scarce area, so there's not enough water. So let's park that. Then we move around to the Witwatersrand acid mine drainage issues. There's a lot of emotions floating around. Acid mine drainage water is going to pop up all over the place, but it's basically an excess water that is a result from the re-watering of the aquifers after mine dewatering has stopped. There's a huge risk around the fall of sinkholes associated with the rising water tables, which I think personally is a greater risk than the actual acid mine drainage water contaminating watercourses. So we have now an example of a water scarce area and we have an example of a excess water. If we move to the Karoo, there's a lot of questions around the fracking in the Karoo. Now, one of the concerns are that the water resources in the Karoo aquifers could be implicated by the whole process of fracking, and several projects in the States has been stopped as a result of concerns of water quality impacts. However, the economic benefits from that project in a water scarce country with a high unemployment of up to 40%, you could not just exclude that project from the agenda based on groundwater quality impacts, and you need to look wider. There's a huge opportunity for South Africa to look at a national scale of water management, where excess water in the Witwatersrand Gold could be continued to be pumped, cleaned, and then transferred towards the dry areas in the Limpopo as well as in the Karoo. The big question is who's funding the pipelines and who's paying for that. And I think with a creative thinking and better management strategy and policy around water, we can definitely make that work for the whole of South Africa. We have one of the most modern legislative systems in terms of water management and environmental impact minimization. However, we lack a strong policy around water conservation and the price of water. Water has always been a commodity that's just available. You open a tap and it flows out. And I think along with bulk water supply management, we need to invest also into measures to reduce the water demand. At the end of the line will always be the poorest of the poor. And I think that if we think differently about the true value of water, we will use it differently.